Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Another day on the house build. And if you were with us in the last video, you would have seen we made a start on the study. So super cool. We've got all the walls painted in, the shelving's all plastered in. It's looking absolutely fantastic. Really happy with how it's all turned out so far. Now you would have also seen that we painted this bench top black. So I did it black and then I painted it white, and I was thinking when I was hitting it and dropping stuff on it and everything, I was thinking it probably wouldn't matter for what we got planned for this. But after sitting there thinking about it afterwards, I was thinking, nah, I'm going to clean up all the big blobs. So we're going to go get a scraper, going to scrape off all the big blobs and stuff. And then we've got some black paint. We're going to put a couple more layers of black paint on the top of this, nice and tidy with a brush. And then tomorrow we're going to come back and we're going to try and epoxy this thing up. So super excited about this. Just like the dining table when I epoxied that, super little sketchy on how it's going to go because keep hearing all the horror stories. And saying that, we did have success with the dining table. That turned out really good. Super happy with how that turned out. So fingers crossed we can do the same thing again, but this time we're not doing like a rivet table. We're going to try and do like a marble replica kind of look on this. So a little bit different to what we've done in the dining room, but at the same time, should be a bit of a challenge. Fingers crossed we can pull it off. That should look good. So in saying that, let's get into it.
Something in the room that illuminated me. Cause I was in the dark, wrestling the scars, but you took away everything. Maybe this is more than bliss. These moments I just can't resist. Cause this is everything I wished, and so much more. You are my light, and everything that I want. Come take this night. It's come alive in the dark. It's come alive in the dark. Come alive in the dark. I was burning down, the sky was full of clouds, but you broke through everything. Now all of the doubt, all that brought me down, is a million miles away. Now I'm seeing blue sky.
Alright guys, so we're back. Paint's all dry, ready to rock and roll. So the first thing we're going to do is go and get a bit of sandpaper and just give it a light rub over, just to give it a few scratches over the top of the surface, give it something to edge to for the epoxy. Then we got a 2 to 1 part epoxy mix. So we're going to mix up the epoxy, get it all mixed up, and then we're going to put 2 bits into a couple of little cups, because what we're going to do is we're going to mix a large amount into black, and then one of the small cups is going to be green, and then the other small cup is going to be silver. And then we're going to pour the black onto the surface here. Then we're going to start mixing green and silver for little veins. And then once we've done the veins through the setup where we're happy with it, then we're just going to blotch in some green around the rest of the spots where we want a bit of green. And then once that's done, go over it with a heat gun, make sure we get rid of all the air bubbles, and then leave it to set. So in saying that, let's get into it and see how she turns out. Alright guys, so here we are, a little bit over a week after we actually poured the epoxy, so you're probably wondering how it all turned out. Overall, not too bad, I'm pretty happy with how it's turned out. Got a few little issues, so it's actually really dimply, but we'll sand that back, that's not a drama. Between the joins we've got these little cracks here, just along here. Once we smooth it out with the sander and we've got them little divots showing, what I've got is some Aridite, and what we'll do is mix that up and put them in the grooves, let that dry, and then we'll smooth that off before we actually go and put a coating over it or buff it or polish it or whatever we're going to do here. See what the best way is for the best results. The other little issue we had, actually two more issues. One of them was the colour. So the colour didn't really come out as vibrant as what I was hoping. That green and silver and the black didn't really show up as well as I was hoping in the colours. So that's a good learning curve for next time. Make sure we get some stronger colours involved in it. But overall, the veinage is there. It looks pretty cool when you're over the top of it, nice and close. You can see it in person. I don't know how well the camera's going to be picking it up, but we'll just go with that and see how it turns out. It might come out a little bit better once we've actually got it all smoothed off. So we'll see how that rocks out. The other thing we had was a couple of little blowouts. So down here, around the masking, we had a bit of a blowout over here. Another one over here. We had a bit of a splatter on the wall just here, which I tried wiping off while it was still wet, but it kind of stained it. And a couple of little bits and pieces around the top where we had it masked up, managed to get a bit of epoxy up onto the wall. So no big dramas, because what we'll have to do is just give that a bit of a sand back. I've got some more paint mixed up, so we'll have to clean that all up and paint all that up. But what we'll do is first we'll take care of the top. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start sanding. I did just do a bit of a trial. You might just notice there's a little bit of dust on that top there. So that's because I've just done a bit of a trial on here just to test which kind of sandpapers to try first. As you can see, I had a couple of high spots, so I did take that off, but we started with the 320 and gone to that just to get rid of the dimples. And then once we're at that point there, we should be alright just to start going through the different grades of sandpaper till we get up to about 2000 grit, and that should be pretty smooth by the time we get to that. And then once we get to that point, like I say, we'll get the Aridite, fill in them gaps, sand it back again, polish it again, and then we either buff it or we'll use our varnish that we used on the dining table, which actually turned out really good. So either way, we're going to keep going and see how we go. So let's go grab the sander and get into it. Well guys, I reckon this has beaten me. I think the epoxy's gone on a little bit too thin. We've got a whole heap of cut throughs, and I'm super not happy with that. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do is going to rip it back, see how much epoxy we got. We might try again. I think the way the videos on YouTube have done them prior to me, they seem to get it so it sets nice and smooth from the get-go. So maybe my preparation needed to be better or something better. I know if I ever do it again, I won't be using that joined together slutty stuff, but this was a last minute decision to do the epoxy, and I thought this would work. So what I'm going to do is just go and get a rougher sandpaper. We're going to smooth this all back again, and we'll go and pull the epoxy back out as much as I didn't want to. This stuff isn't cheap, but we can't have that. So it hasn't all gone to plan, but on the other side, there is probably an upside to this, because when I showed Dara the black with the green and the silver through it, she wasn't overly keen. She did say she wished I'd gone white. So I'm saying that. She's in Melbourne at the moment, so she doesn't even know all this is going on yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and change this colour to white, and then we'll do the white with the black veins instead of the black with the green and silver. And hopefully it stands out a little bit more, and fingers crossed now that we've actually done this, sanded it all back like this, It's almost like the epoxy would have sealed all the holes by the looks of it, which should be pretty safe. So when we put the white epoxy over the top of it, it should be pretty smooth, not start dipping through holes and all that. And all these little spots here, like this, were all high spots, so fingers crossed they should all be nice and smooth now when we do this, and fingers crossed we can get it right the second time round. So saying that, we're going to have to get some white paint, chuck the white paint down, let that dry for a day or so, and then we'll come back and start putting some epoxy on. Alright guys, so it's the next day, and overall, pretty chuffed with the results. So she's dry to the touch, but she's still a little bit soft, so I'm not going to do anything with it today. And how did it turn out, you say? Well, overall, I'm pretty chuffed with the result. Got a few bits of trash in it. You wouldn't be complete without the bugs and stuff over here. We've got our little mate over here. He decided to get stuck in there before it was dry, obviously. A couple of little bits of trash. Overall, I'm not too fussed about. Pretty happy with how it's all turned out. The only little bit that was a little bit disappointing was over here, where I put a little bit too much green and I was trying to dab it away and get it lightened off. There's a little bit of a rougher feel there, but overall, not too bad, and it is right on the edge, so it's not going to affect anything at all anyway, so overall pretty chuffed. Down the side here, we've got a couple of little runs. I was rolling it and heating it for hours after I'd finished actually videoing, just to keep the runs down, but after I left, obviously, it still decided to give a little bit more. It's not too rough, so we might get away with them, we'll see, but worst case, I might just chuck a 1000 grit sandpaper in and just give it a bit of a wet rub. But we're not going to do anything with that today, because like I say, it is a little bit soft. Overall, I'm pretty chuffed with how it's turned out. And for well, second attempt at the marble look, pretty chuffed. Probably could have gone a little bit less on the veins and stuff. Went a little bit overkill maybe, but it's my design, so happy as Larry. Heaps better design than the black. Heaps happy with how this has turned out over the black. The black, you couldn't really see the design in it, so this one you can actually see what's going on there. It looks really cool. So the next thing we're going to do today, being a weekend, I've got the kids, so I'm not going to spend a great deal of time in here, but we have got the wood, click together wood for the shelving. So what I'm going to do is just going to go and get the wood, and we're going to glue it all together and have that so it's setting overnight. And then tomorrow when we come in, we can start cutting our shelves in and get them up there, so super cool. Saying that, let's go get some wood and get some glue and start sticking it together. guys, so while that's drying out in the shed, we've just come inside. So I've just gone ahead and given a bit of a dust down around the walls and everything because we had so much sanding dust over everything. So just done that off screen, didn't want to bore you with that. So the next thing we're going to do now is we're just going to go and mask up our bench top here in place, and then we're going to get the paint. So we've got a couple of little spots we'll probably need just maybe put a bit of sandpaper over just to knock off any high edges where the epoxies ran. Do that, and then what we'll do is we'll get the paint and just touch up all our areas. So we've got around the actual bench and we've got a couple of spots that just splattered on the wall too, so we'll do that and it should all dry all the same colour, so fingers crossed no blend issues there or nothing like that, and we should look pretty sweet. The only other thing is we've got this thing here still hooked up, so it's just the internet, the modem box that's all hooked up in here. So I've disconnected all the camera setup and stuff like that for now, but kind of trying to keep that going so the kids are entertained out there while I'm doing this. So it's a little bit of a pain out, but we'll keep moving and we'll get through it in the end. So let's go get some sandpaper and some paint and get into it. So there it is, pretty well complete, so looking fantastic. I did go and just run a bit of 1000 grit sandpaper around the edge, only the edge, because I wanted to see how it turned out. So I've done that, and then I've just gone over it with some polish, just car polish. Didn't really come out as bright as it was, but just because it's on that side, it doesn't look too bad anyway. It's just a little bit flat on the faces, on the two side faces. And then the rest of it's all nice and gloss, so it actually looks pretty good anyway. But eventually what I'll do is I'll get myself a proper polisher, and then we'll see how that turns out. I'll try and polish it up, see if we can shine it all up nicely. And if that works, then I'll probably just give the top a bit of a slide over with some 1000 grit paper as well. And same deal, give it a polish over. But for now, I'm pretty happy with the finish on it. It's pretty glossed up, nice and slick looking, so super chuffed. We've got our shelves up, looking fantastic. We've got all our modem and security system all set back up now and working again, so, and all tucked away nice and tidy in that corner there. Well, tidy to the best I can. There's that many cables coming into the camera setup that it's a little bit messy up there, but is what it is. We've got what we got. So as you see, we've got a couple of little bit of impurities in it, like our little spider mate here and our little mozzie mate over here, but it is what it is. That's what you get when you're playing with this stuff. You always get them bugs that decide they want to come and play with you, so they jumped in. I'm not going to try and sand them out because I have a feeling if I try and do that, I'm going to end up with damages. So they're just part of the character for it now, so super cool. So Jara's due home in the next few hours, so what we're going to do is when she comes in, we're going to see what her reaction is, because last time she's seen the table, it was black. She hasn't seen it white. She doesn't know any idea it's going to be changed to white, because that was my stuff up that happened while she was gone. So she actually said before she left that she reckons it will look better white. So there you go, she got her white, and she chose the green when we were doing the black. Didn't show up in the black, but she shows up in the white here. Super cool. So in saying that, I'm going to wait for her to get home. We'll set up the camera, see what her reaction is.
Can I come in?
Yep.
Holy sh! Oh my god, I love. Oh, Bob. So much better. So much better than the black. That is epic. That would have taken you ages. Holy sh! Oh, very happy.
Alright guys, so there you go. Dara absolutely loved it in the end. So really cool. So much happier with that now. But in saying that, we are going to call that the end of the video. This did take a little bit longer. We've not working all smoothly. Having to do the black and then the white took a little bit longer than I expected, so this video is going to start dragging out. But in saying that, before we leave, we do want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. This will probably be the last video we do before New Year's. So have a safe Christmas, safe New Year's. Everyone look after yourselves. And if you want to be really nice to the StayTrue TV, and you've not already done it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Other than that, we do wish to thank everyone for their love and support throughout the year. We do appreciate everyone watching the videos. It does help the algorithms for YouTube, helps our channel grow. You can join us on Facebook or Instagram on StayTrue TV. Get the inside scoop before YouTube. Stay safe, stay true, and we'll catch you next year.